Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official NFL best bets here for week number 6, where I go through my top 10 favorite bets beginning at number 10. And it's the Monday night game. And, I've been following these Monday night games for a while. I like the over in the primetime games. It hasn't worked for me. Well, at some point, we've got to hit one of these. I mean, good Lord. Both of these teams higher scoring, good on offense. We're going to take Dallas to win this game by 3. Right now, I would say they're favored by 3. If I was forced to pick, I'd probably take Dallas to cover because I do think they bounce back. Right now, you have the Chargers sitting at 2-2. They always play close games. This should be a good one on Monday night. The NFL is expecting a really high scoring one. CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, they're going to get back on track. Austin Eckler back for the Chargers. Higher scoring. 51 is nothing crazy. I think last week, the over-under on the Minnesota-Kansas City game was 53, and I like the over in that. And honestly, the over should have hit if it wasn't for some sham calls towards the end of that game. The Vikings should have had first and goal, and it would have been tied at 27. That's neither here nor there. We like the over in this one, 51. It seems doable. It's not a crazy high number. Certainly for the NFL, 51 is a higher number, but you can understand why. It's a dome. Dak versus Justin Herbert. Dak's coming off a bad game. Herbert's coming off a bye, getting weapons back with Eckler. I like the over in that one. Moving on to number 9, it is Arizona traveling to LA to take on the Rams, and I love the Rams to cover this spread. I think the Rams, they were in it last week against Philadelphia. They didn't even cover that game, but they were in it. They were leading late in the second quarter. Philadelphia got one of those sham touchdowns where, they QB sneaked and they all pushed the quarterback. Either way, I like the Rams here, basically minus a touchdown. At this point, Arizona, they've got to be fully tanking and demoralized. They had those first 3 games where they covered the spread. They won one of them, but they have been really uncompetitive recently. They lost to Cincinnati. I took Cincinnati minus the 3 on the road, and that was Joe Burrow's breakout game. So I think the Rams, with both Puka and Kupp, Matt Stafford has a ton of weapons. The Rams are due to cover one of these games, and they will finally get a massive blowout victory at home, and they will improve to 3-3. And then if you're Arizona, guys, you got to just tank. There's just no reason to win 5 or 6 games. What is the point of winning games this year if you are the Cardinals? Now, I guess they, considering the Rams are 6.5-point favorites, they could lose and still cover. But just in general, just go 1-16. Legitimately, I understand it's terrible for your culture, but you have to make sacrifices for your future. There's no sense in winning 5 or 6 games and then having to give up your draft capital to go up and draft Caleb Williams. Just lose every game, and then you automatically get the number 1 overall pick. But they also have that weird Kyler Murray situation, so we'll see. Moving on to number 8, it is San Francisco playing at the 1 o'clock window in Cleveland. Guys, listen, so the over-under in this game has dropped to 37.5. We do not know what is going on right now with Deshaun Watson. He randomly got injured. Nobody really saw it. And then he missed, the game before the Browns bye. They got destroyed by Baltimore starting DTR. He gets a bye, so everyone's like, all right, he'll be 100% healthy. And apparently he's not practicing. The Browns, there's rumors that they're going to start P.J. Wilson. And we know how ridiculous San Francisco has been. So San Francisco, I do not think the spread is -5. I'm guessing it's -6 at this point. And if Deshaun Watson is out, I think the spread will probably close -8.5 or 9. But San Francisco here, we like them to win this game. I would watch the weather in this one. If it's rainy, I would say take the under 37. This is going to be a miserable game. San Francisco's not going to want to be there. The Browns, possibly without Deshaun Watson. Could you imagine a rainstorm 1 o'clock game with the Browns starting P.J. Walker? That game's got like 20-0 written all over it. It's going to be very low scoring, but I do think San Francisco, obviously, how can you pick against San Francisco at this point? They're going to cover -5. Moving on to number 7, it is New Orleans traveling to Houston. Houston plus 1.5. I trust Houston in this game. I was off of them last week at Atlanta. Now I'm back on them at home against a New Orleans team that is beatable. I understand people are going to say New Orleans just shut out New England. Why would you pick against them? But this is the NFL. They're still only 3-2. CJ Stroud, yes, he's going to throw his first interception at some point. But even if he throws an interception, I think he throws 2 or 3 touchdowns in this game. And I like Houston to win this one outright. New Orleans has struggled offensively. And Houston really has kind of been a low-key, decent defensive team. They're sitting right now trying to get to 500 with a young rookie quarterback, the Nico Collins, CJ Stroud connection. It's been working. And also New Orleans on the road, not great in this spot. I will take Houston plus the 1.5 to win that game outright. Moving on to number 6, it is Seattle at Cincinnati. So this is one where I am definitely against most of the public. At least I think I am, because I have seen a lot of people say that there is great value on Seattle. And you can see the value just in this screen. You can look Cincinnati minus 2.5, minus 3, depending on which sportsbook you look at. And then the ESPN FPI gives Seattle over a 50% chance. So there's great value. That means on Seattle plus the 2.5. I don't care what I saw from Joe Burrow, what I saw from Jamar Chase in Arizona. This team is back. Seattle's not going to win 13 games, guys. They're already 3-1. They're due for a loss. This is a correction game. There's no way Cincinnati, after that great performance on the road, comes home and spoils it. Even with Seattle coming off a bye, I believe. So, yeah, I guess that also helps them, but they are still traveling West Coast to East Coast. Cincinnati will improve to 3-3. They need this win. And Seattle's still having a good year, even if they drop this game and fall to 3-2. Moving on to number 5, it is Philadelphia traveling to East Rutherford in a weird matchup with the Jets. This is a 425 game. Philadelphia sitting minus 6.5. And guys, this is just an analytical pick. Everyone is in on it. Philadelphia minus the 6.5. They've been amazing this year, obviously, sitting 5-0. The Jets, I do think they're being a little bit overvalued because of their win in Denver. They did not sustain drives. They had a few explosive plays in that game. I don't trust their offense at all with Zach Wilson, and I'm not going to overreact to that game where they scored a lot. And even the week before, I mean, this has been a good 2 weeks for the Jets. They've covered in both games, the one versus Kansas City, and then this last one where they easily won against Denver on the road. But I just think Philadelphia in this spot, all the models, all the analytics say Philly should be about minus 8.5, minus 9. On the road, the Jets can't do enough offensively. Philly, they're going to be able to handle the Jets defense. Even though the Jets do have a good defense, Philly can run the ball. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Swift, I will take them to cover this game, mainly because the Jets are just not going to be able to score very much. Moving on to number 4, it is Washington traveling to Atlanta. So there's a few different bets. Definitely the over. I believe the over-under in this game is 41 or 42. That was going to be my original play. But then I decided, you know what? I'll just go in on Washington. Washington is a very interesting team. I do not see Atlanta going to 4-2 this week. Also, I don't see Washington falling to 2-4. Chase Young is going to have a big game. I can feel it. He's coming off an 11 pressure game on Thursday night. I picked against the Commanders on Thursday night. I said Chicago would win that game outright. They did. But you know what? I'm backing on the Commanders because they're not a bad team. They're going to bounce back. They get extra rest. And they've been having some hard practices for sure after that terrible loss. Sam Howell, interesting player. I do think Sam Howell has a much higher upside offensively than Desmond Ridder, and they will win this game against an Atlanta team that I have really been betting well recently. I've been picking them, and they've been winning, and I've been picking against them, and they've been, losing, so I've been betting them well. Moving on to number 3, it is Minnesota traveling to Chicago. Both of these teams sitting at 1-4. Minnesota in a very tedious spot right now when it comes to their franchise future, and right now, Justin Fields, it's full throttle. He has to prove himself. You have Bears fans every week mocking Caleb Williams, number 1 overall to the Bears. That does something for Justin Fields. Justin Fields possibly entering his name into the MVP conversation with a win like this, 27-26. He's been phenomenal. Second in passing touchdowns. The Thursday night game, the connection with DJ Moore. DJ Moore's numbers are crazy right now. I think Justin Fields, he knows he has to play well, any means necessary, running, throwing. He's a great start for daily fantasy. And then this Minnesota team, I think they're a lot better than their record. They are not a 1-4 football team, but the problem is they just put Justin Jefferson on IR, and they're dealing with a really a depressed looking roster right now. I don't know what Minnesota's going to do. Will they trade Kirk Cousins? Probably not, but it's like you're delaying the inevitable. Are you really going to win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins? I mean, it's possible, but you need a really, really good roster construction, and they don't have that, especially on defense. So I will go with Chicago there. Moving on to number 2, this is the Sunday night game. So to me, this is one of those Sunday night games. Normally these don't happen where you know going into the game it is going to be a bloodbath. And it is the Giants traveling to Buffalo. So, you could make the argument, well, what about last Sunday night? We thought it was going to be a great game, San Francisco versus Dallas. It was a closer spread. This is different. We know going into this game, Buffalo is going to throttle the Giants. I think it's going to be really ugly. Daniel Jones in Buffalo in a night game. You've got Josh Allen. I mean, it's just going to be really bad, guys. We're going to take Buffalo to win this one 33-10, and I'll take Buffalo to cover the 14. Also, probably the over 44. I think the over-under is 44. But yeah, this is going to get really ugly for sure. Kind of a weird matchup. The Giants traveling to Orchard Park, and one of the last Sunday Night Football games that stadium will host, Highmark Stadium, so I will take Buffalo to cover there. And then moving on to number 1, it is the over 48.5, Miami versus Carolina. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that bet Miami minus 13.5, and I would agree with that. Well, actually, you know what? According to this prediction, I guess I don't agree with it. Guys, here's the thing. Last week, we saw Carolina go into Detroit. I said I loved the over because Detroit was going to get up early and then Carolina was going to get garbage time yards, points. That's exactly what's going to happen in this game. You're going to see Miami explosive plays early. The injury to Devin Achane, it is an issue, but they're going to be able to still put up a ton of points, and they're going to be up big early. And you're still going to get Bryce Young some experience, get him some confidence. You're going to have Miami playing their second string defensive unit probably midway into the fourth quarter, maybe even early in the fourth quarter, and it's going to enable Carolina to at least score one touchdown, maybe a total of 14 points in garbage time, and that's going to push us over the 48.5 in that one. That's another weird matchup. Carolina traveling to South Beach for that one, and right now Miami. I mean, it's golden age for Miami. This is back-to-back weeks now. They're like 13-point favorites. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, Carolina, I think Carolina will still finish with 4 or 5 wins. They've got a very easy schedule after this game. I don't think they're going to do anything. Like, it's not like they're horrifically bad. But yeah, they are going to fall to 0-6 for sure. Either way, guys, that's going to do it for my official Week 6 NFL Best Bets. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.